You know, what if it does? Hi, beautiful people. Welcome to Mel's Perspective, my modern day advice column. I'm super excited to get started. To those of you who sent in questions, thank you so much, and thank you so much for your patience. I want to make a few things clear before we get started. My intention for this space is for it to serve as a classroom for all of us where we share stories and discuss strategies that could potentially help us move forward in a positive direction. I am not a licensed therapist. I am a life coach in training.
Woo woo! Yes.
I've been learning a lot, y'all. It's okay. We're gonna get into that too. Let me not get sidetracked. But I'm here to share my perspective, my advice, and also when it comes to coaching, I'm going to include a few coaching tools that I've been learning. One of them in particular is open-ended questions.
They are as mysterious as they are powerful.
My goal isn't to give you all the answers because, quite frankly, I don't have them, but it is to offer some perspective. As life coaches, we are taught that the client has the answers that they're seeking, they're in there somewhere. It's our job as coaches to be guides and to ask open ended questions, to be intuitive, to feel into what people are saying and to really hear what people are saying and help them learn how to coach themselves. So the goal isn't, as a life coach, to have someone consistently relying on you, is to build someone's trust in their own innate wisdom and knowledge and ability to solve their problems with time.
Side note.
Nothing here is a replacement for therapy or mental health care. I appreciate everyone who sent in a question and you opening your heart and trusting me with this. I really do. Also, take what resonates, as they say, and leave what doesn't. Those of you who are just watching, ask yourself some of these questions. Apply it to whatever might be going on in your personal life and see what comes from it. All right, let's get into the first question. Our first story is from a woman who's lived a full, complicated life, yet she says she's never truly experienced happiness. So, listen to this. She says, sounds simple, but it's not. I need to figure out why I've never been happy. I just turned 59 with a sense of humor of a 12-year-old boy. We'll be married 23 years this November and have no children, with the exception of our dog, Sasha. Hi, Sasha. She discusses just some of her backstory just so we can get an idea. She's the oldest of 3 kids. Her parents divorced when she was 6. Her mom was married 8 times, most of which were abusive men. She grew up poor. She always ended up being the caretaker. Did shopping at the age of 6. She cared for her grams after a heart attack and stroke, or after heart issues and stroke issues, which caused her to quit college as a freshman. She took care of her mom around the same time. It's a lot of caretaking going on. She didn't see her dad from ages 9 to 53. He married 3 times and passed away in 2023 at the age of 80. Her mom passed away in 2005 at the age of 60, and she said she didn't cry for either of them. No sorrow, no pain, no nothing. Present day, her hubby is a 10-year veteran. Thank you for your service, sir. At the moment, he is dealing with PTSD. He has manic episodes, alcoholism, gambling addiction, and there have been 2 suicide attempts. Yeah. She says, did that give you a good idea of how weird my life was? And she says she barely scratched the surface. She says, I'll be 60 next July, and as much as it kills me to say it, I have more highway miles in my rearview mirror than I do ahead of me. That's life. There are things I want to do before I kick the bucket in, however many decades I have left. But more importantly, I want to really experience happiness and be able to enjoy my last 25 to 40 years. I asked her, I said, in your ideal world, how would this situation play out? What would it feel like? She says, someone somewhere would know what the hell I'm talking about and understand what I mean. Not looking for a magic wand, just some guidance and know that there is a light at the end of the tunnel. What would it feel like? Calming and reassuring, I think. First of all, that's a lot. No wonder you've struggled to find a sense of happiness. It makes complete sense why that's been so challenging for you. The childhood trauma, caretaking. It sounds like you've prioritized a lot of people out of, that's kind of what you were pushed to do out of circumstances that were above you at the time. So, your goal, what I'm hearing you say, is that you want to experience happiness. It also sounds like you want to believe that happiness is possible for you. Ideally, we could have a back and forth conversation because I would love to hear your response to some of these questions. I'm curious, have you allowed the 6-year-old you to grieve yet? You experience a ton of trauma so young, and what I've learned is that for the lighter emotions to really present themselves in our lives and stay, and for us to really experience them, we have to work and let go of the heavier ones. And you have the capacity for happiness, considering, I kind of hate when people say this, but I think that there's truth to it, that just as much pain that you've experienced, you can experience that much happiness. And the reason why that bothers me, because it feels like, oh, so you're telling me I have to experience this much pain if I want to be super happy. I don't think that's true. At least at this point in my life, I don't think that's true. But I do think if you have experienced this much pain, it has expanded your capacity to experience happiness in a richer way. You know, because when you go through things, those moments of happiness, you treasure. You really treasure. And so I want to give you, I know the past and even the current struggles you're dealing with your husband, it's a lot, but just know it's a fact that you have the capacity. The capacity is in there. You know, I do think that clearly there's just been a lot of grief. The fact that your parents passed and you didn't cry for either of them, no sorrow, no pain, no nothing. And you don't sound like a shitty person for saying that, by the way. She said I sound like a shitty person for saying that. But that's your reality. That's real. You sound like an honest person for saying that. The fact that nothing came up is interesting. So yeah, I would be curious. All that to say, I'll be curious to know, have you, just going back before your parents passed, going back, have you allowed your 6-year-old self to grieve her childhood? Also, I'm curious, when I asked you what would it feel like, you said happiness. You think it would feel calming and reassuring. I'm curious, what makes you feel calm? right now? What exactly do you need reassurance on? In what ways can you get that reassurance? It might be wise to start there. I've been learning myself. Happiness comes and goes, but there's joy that stays. That's like that underlying just sense of I'm good. But happiness does come and go. But I think it's beautiful that you describe underneath happiness what it really would feel like is calming and reassuring. That sounds like what the 6-year-old you needed and might still need. I believe that our younger selves are still with us because we carry the experience. And some people might think it's woo-woo, but I think it's worth writing if that's your thing, or talking to your younger self and being the parent she needed, being the calming, reassuring support she needed. So whenever you notice that you're feeling calm, acknowledge that, because you also are retraining your brain as well. You've been through a lot that affects your brain. Like, our bodies are built to protect us. So I'm sure I don't know if you have like hyper vigilant state, or like there was always something happening. That's what it sounds like. So teaching your body that it's safe to feel calm, and it's going to be moments where you feel it and your body's going to go straight back to fight or flight because it's not used to it. And I think having that understanding allows you to work with your body more. It allows you to mother yourself and say, okay, I felt calm and then this happened, or I started thinking this, or I didn't let myself sit in it. And it's just that awareness, allows you to come back, be more present. There's been a lot of chaos, and I hope you build a new solid relationship with calmness. You've been taking care of a lot of people. How do you think others would feel about your happiness? I find that sometimes what holds us back from accomplishing a goal or feeling a certain feeling or being happy, or what, it's because subconsciously we're actually really worried about how others would take that. I had a lady I spoke to the other week, she was telling me how her son has been going through a really hard time with anxiety and depression, and she's just been really sad for like the last year. It's been a really hard, dark time in their house. And by the end of our session, she came to the realization that she's been feeling like she had to mirror her son's sadness. Because he was sad, some part of her felt like she had to mirror his misery because she felt guilty for being happy. And she changed her perspective to actually, my happiness, him seeing my happiness shows him there's hope, shows him that you can smile even on days where you don't feel like life is good or perfect. It actually is good for him. Her being in misery hasn't been helping him, but subconsciously, that's what she was doing, thinking she had to match his energy. Just like sometimes when a friend comes to you and they're sad, and it's okay to acknowledge and to validate it in the moment, like, oh yeah, I can understand why. I feel like a good friend though, at some point, it don't have to be that day, just at some point, they would lift, or at least try to lift, the person's spirits. And you can do that by showing your joy, by being happy yourself.